Hey guys, I just wanted to show you a few things. I just also want to tell you that I truly appreciate what you guys are doing in terms of the value of these bikes. It's very impressive. I've been riding since I was 10 years old. I'm 53 now. I bought this as a secondary bike just to put around the farm, but also to teach other people that have never ridden how to ride. And this is a great size bike for that. I just wanted to point out a couple of things. I'm not sure if you guys have ever seen this before, but see these on the fork leg? I just took this apart just for maintenance, just to check things over. I noticed these big gouges taken out of the aluminum cast here and here, and on the other leg, um, right here. And it's because this wheel wasn't trued up. These spokes are much looser than the rear. You can hear the difference. I didn't realize that until I rode it for 4 or 5 days, and I want to put this on a truing stand, but I don't have a truing stand yet. So what my thought is that this thing is so far out of true that the disc rotor or the hub area whacked into this cast aluminum piece for the fork on both sides. I mean, these things are pretty deep too, so whatever it was, it looks like it hit it pretty hard. Um, I don't think I have the spacers on the wrong side. The bigger spacer is on the disc side and the small is on the opposite side. So I just wanted to point that out to you guys. I'm not sure if what's going on, but I know for sure that these spokes are really loose, and this is not quite. Yeah, I don't think the rim is totally true because I could see it wobble a little bit when I was riding earlier today. Otherwise, I would have did something about it much sooner. The back is fine though. And a couple of other things that I'll just point out to you just for the future stuff, when people purchase it. This headlight was not adjusted at all correct, and the adjustment screw really doesn't do the job. So I was forced to put in a spacer. Can you see that white spacer in there? I had to space it away to get it aimed properly, but it is aimed right now. The other thing is I mentioned in the email the seat. In this one area, yeah, there it is. Hit. It's actually sinking down into the frame area. So there's not enough of support, I think, in this area. So I'm going to take the seat off and see if I can put something underneath there to stop that from happening. And I'm sure you've heard it before. The seat is very hard. But honestly, I'm not complaining because the value of this bike and all the bikes that you guys sell is quite amazing. I will point out something else too that I just thought of it now. The rear chain guide or guard that was on top here is not aligned properly. I'm trying to see if I still have it. The guide comes up, over, and then down. The part that comes down back here, it's totally lined up. But as it moves, as it comes forward, the edge of it drifts over the middle of the chain, and you can't ride the thing without the chain constantly slapping into it. The other thing that I did is I changed this chain out to an RK chain because I heard a lot of stories about the chain stretching so much that they were really not even worth having on it. So I changed the chain before I even used the bike, and I just hung it up here for a spare. I'm just pointing this stuff out to you so that you get some kind of video documentation about it. I'm not really complaining about it because the value of the bike, like I said, is kind of mind-blowing how cheap you guys can put these things out at this quality level. It's very impressive. I do feel that I have to do something about the suspension, however, because of the dampening is so aggressively stiff. I don't think it's the spring rate. I think it's the oil viscosity, and I think it's the valving in the fork and in the shock. I weigh about 140, 145 pounds, and I noticed if you hit something, any kind of small bump, like an embedded rock, it doesn't even have to be big, it throws the bike completely off its track, and it gets really sketchy when you're riding it in any kind of bumpy terrain if you're not going straight. And even if you are going straight, I've had the bike really pull to one side because it deflects off of what it's hitting instead of absorbing it. Now, I realize that this bike has a maximum weight limitation of about 175 pounds, but I'm much lighter than that. And I have to tell you, I've been riding for a very long time, and I don't recall hitting a bump and feeling that unsettled because of it. So if you guys have any suggestions on what I can do to the fork and the shock to help with that, please let me know. I'm going to try to lower the viscosity of the oil and put in a lighter oil, and maybe open up the valve stack to see if I can open up the valve orifices to allow the oil to come through it a little bit faster. The rebound is extremely slow, and what happens is when you hit a series of bumps, it tends to pack up. The rebound is so slow that if you hit a succession of bumps, it doesn't get a chance to rebound before the next bump. So the suspension's already compressed, and it ends up transferring that 100% onto the rider. And since that's happening, the wheels are not staying in contact with the ground, and it tends to make you completely lose track of the path that you're on. And I'm a little concerned about that. So I was going to try to improve that a little bit. Another thing I noticed that I'm going to try to resolve is I think the gearing on this is a little too low. First gear is like a tractor. I mean, it's really nice for climbing, but I have to tell you that it's a little bit too low, because what I think happens is it makes the bike feel very responsive to the throttle, so much that it actually kind of jerks you backwards, and it makes things a little bit more difficult for a new rider. So I think I'm going to increase the tooth on the countershaft sprocket one tooth higher, just to see if I can smooth that out a little bit. Trying to think, was there anything else that I wanted to mention to you just for the sake of just letting you guys know? God, I thought, oh yeah, what? There's, I mistakenly took this out as the drain bolt, not realizing this was it. And this came out and there was a spring on it. I have no idea what that is. Could you just let me know what this is? Because I don't see it in the manual either. Oh, and lastly is the brakes. They work pretty good, but I think they need to be bled. Like, I haven't bled them. They don't seem quite as progressive as most discs. Again, I'm not complaining. I'm just telling you that the brakes could be a little bit better, and it may just be because they haven't been bled, or maybe it's the pads. I'm not sure, but I'm going to check it out. I put on some hand guards too, just because with new riders, they're more likely to drop the bike, and I just don't want my levers broken off. And since this bike is always used for off-road use, I took the directionals off because I figured if a new rider was going to be riding it and I was teaching somebody, that they would probably break them off. So anyway, overall, the bike is fantastic. And I have already 3 people here on the farm where I live and work that couldn't believe the value and are actually going to buy one of these bikes or the Templar 250. So I just wanted to tell you guys, you're doing a fantastic job. It kind of gives the whole Chinese bike like a complete rethink and a rework of the quality. A couple of the people that I spoke with that have been riding for years too were very, very impressed with the build quality, and what you get for the money is kind of mind-blowing. One of the things I noticed is I was looking into used small bikes like XR100s from the 80s and 90s, and I couldn't even find one that was halfway decent for under $1,200. And that's what this cost shipped. So I just wanted to say thanks, guys.